Milwaukee River. They're responsible for protecting that. But they looked at this solution, and they believe that this, again, this idea of capturing that first flush or low flow is the best approach to protecting the quality of the river. They have also been very supportive of the concept. And the Army Corps of Engineers has looked at this and said it is a traditional large civil engineering project, but the outfall to the river is nothing unusual that they haven't seen before. And they've indicated that this would be permitted under one or more of their general permit applications. So the key takeaway here is that from the regulatory and environmental issues, really the two issues that were identified were the water quality issue and the approach of capturing that first flush and making sure that that water goes to the MMSD treatment or system and receives full treatment addresses the primary water quality concern. The second part is obviously we're keeping combined sewage out of people's basements, and we're reducing the potential combined sewer overflows to the river. So from a water quality standpoint, we're hitting all the positives there. The other primary environmental issue, separate perhaps from the regulatory issues, does relate to the fact, as Mark said, this would be a large pipe, a new outfall to the Milwaukee River in the vicinity of Hubbard Park. Obviously a beautiful area, an area that's probably very important to the village. So it will be important as the design proceeds to have ongoing discussions between village staff, the residents, community members that use the park, and to look at creative solutions for managing the impacts of that storm sewer going out to the river. But again, those are the type of engineering solutions that civil engineers are very good at. The things that really concerns us about this project are the water quality issues, potential uncertainty there, and based on discussions with the regulatory agencies, we're very comfortable that this solution meets their goals for that part of the project.
I'm going to come back and go into just a little more detail on how the new system is going to work and what the results how it's proposed are and recommended, what the results are. So I'll actually step back for just a minute here. As Mark, just to go over once more, as Mark kind of explained, this hybrid solution kind of between the Rupert-Milke study and C.N. Smith study greatly reduced the expanse of the pipes throughout the village, thus saving some money, and purposefully directing the water to flow overland through the streets and use our streets to convey our water to low points where we put in large inlets and pipes to connect it. We also, as you mentioned, reduced the bottlenecks in the combined sewer system that helps keep that water level underground and the combined sewer down and provide additional protection to the residents in that area. I also just wanted to emphasize here that our 66-inch pipe along Edgewood here, this is included in our study and in our modeling as necessary to make this system work. And this was separate from the MMSD project. This was a combined sewer, not an interceptor sewer. The interceptor sewer will do the same job and actually a little better, but it was necessary. Having increased conveyance along Edgewood of the combined sewer system is a very important part of this project, so which the MMSD project will help with, and Mustafa will talk about that in a little bit here. Reminding you our existing conditions, potential for basement backup, and with the proposed sewers combined and storm that we have proposed, as you can see, we've greatly reduced the potential for basement backup with our current storm. The red areas are the only, given what we proposed, are the areas that would still have some potential, and Mark will talk just in a few minutes, just a little bit about some recommendations we have to further protect those areas, as well as some of the alternate improvements with the MMSD project could also help these areas down here too, so those will be addressed. But we have plans in this project for protecting the entire village. The next exhibit I want to show you here is representing our street flow, utilizing our streets as conveyance. As you can see, I still have our light blue and purple representing the ponding, similar to what we saw before, but then I have this greenish, bluish color that's showing the areas where we have intended, designed street flow. So this isn't water sitting stagnant. This is water less than 6 inches that is flowing down the street on its way to one of the large sewer inlets. And again, along the south side, same areas where we saw some of that red for the properties with basement, potential basement issues still, we show that we have some ponding there where we have water standing that can't get into the sewers. And we had a suggestion for protecting those with this project, but I think the potential with MSD's new project can provide even better protection for those.
One thing I'd like to add is just remember that this is the worst case scenario.
Correct.
This is the 3-inch, the 100-year rain.
Is the greenish blue under 6 inches?
Yes, yes, and it's moving water during the biggest part of the storm to get that water to the inlet. So it's conveying, it's flowing to where it's supposed to go.
That's no different than what's happening currently.
It's currently, what's happening is where you have the low spots, the water can't get into the pipes.
No, I'm talking about those, what you call the design road flow. You're not taking away any catch basins. There's no source of water.
We are putting restrictors on the combined sewer inlets so that the water can't get in.
But the question is, 2 hour, that's the residence time, or the time that there would be the sag ponding?
Correct.
What's the time that there would be road ponding? How long is less than 6 inches? How long is that road going to be under 4 inches of water under this model? Under 5 inches of water, under something less than 6 inches?
So it would be only during that most intense peak of the storm that it would be that deep. So in our 1 hour storm, we're talking less than 15 minutes that the water's flowing that.
But yet if it's over 6 inches, it's going to be there for up to 2 hours.
That 2 hours is just in that one low spot that, with our recommendation, we were getting pipes to, given the cost to get the pipes there, but the MMSD project does provide additional benefits to that area right there. Anything else? All right. So as I was saying, we are adding flow on the streets by putting restrictors in the combined sewer, in the inlets that are out there right now. So water can't get into the combined sewer as quickly, and there won't be as much water getting into the combined sewer, thus taking that surcharge off of the basements, keeping the water level in the combined sewers down, allowing that water to flow along the streets to the proposed storm sewer, where the water can then get into the proposed storm sewer and out. And to help explain that, exhibit very similar to what we saw at the beginning, but with a proposed configuration, you can see we still have our combined sewer down low. We have our connection from the inlets to the combined sewer still, but it is a controlled connection. We put an orifice on there that controls the flow in, so that only a little bit of flow can get into there. And that orifice is specifically designed to take that first flush volume and flow rate into the combined sewer so that it can be taken off to be treated. Once the flow into the sewer exceeds that low flow, then the water builds up and enters into the storm sewer system, where the storm sewer system can convey the water away. So while we still may have street ponding or flow along our streets due to our restricted inlets, that pressure is on the new storm sewer, not on the combined sewer, because this connection is a small orifice that doesn't allow the water to get through quick enough to surcharge. And since we don't have our combined sewer surcharged with the pressure of the street, our pressure line is well below the foundation of the house, allowing gravity flow to leave the house and come to the storm sewer, or the combined sewer system, without having the water from the street being able to push up into the basement. Another important factor of this, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is getting the downspouts disconnected off of our basements. It's in every homeowner's own interest to do that, because any block, even if the combined sewer isn't surcharged, any blockage in that line that may allow a trickle of house sanitary effluent through may not be able to handle the gush of stormwater coming down off your roof and down your inlets, and can, definitely contribute to the basement backup, as well as putting that extra pressure on your
Which
combined
gutters?
sewer system.
Which gutters?
On your house.
All of them?
Many houses have downspouts connected directly into their drain tile around their house. They go directly to the storm sewage, or the combined sewer system. And that puts pressure on the system, and also your own basement. I know a few years back, there was a program throughout the village to disconnect many. There's also still many that are still connected, so.
Can I ask you a question about your opinion about that? My neighbor disconnected, and now his water, instead of running down into the sewer, runs across his yard. And then, the first 5 minutes is okay, but then the ground is saturated. And then the water that runs into the street is now carried full of solids from his garden, nutrients from his lawn, all sorts of other particles that are going down into the sewer, the combined sewer, that previously weren't being introduced to the storm sewer, but it was directly. Do you have any comments about that?
Well, it's the same source. When it was directly
But
connected.
it wasn't, but the water wasn't going, the water was going from his roof directly, the water was going directly into his drain tile.
Which is directly connected to the combined sewer
Right, it's
system.
not-
But it was still going to the
He
combined
wasn't
sewer.
picking up all this sediment.
Oh, the sediment, I got you.
Now he washes his downspout system, it washes across his yard, and I know that it's more because it washes down my driveway, and I can see it every time.
What's the solution? Is it those
Well,
long?
I'm asking his comment about that.
So,
The trade-off, because that's increased loading.
well, and that's why we, in this case, for the disconnect, we're still talking about the first flush going into the combined sewer system so that will still be treated. So everything that's going to be washed off is going to be in that first part of the storm.
No, negative.
One other component
It's
of
after the first.
our report was a recommendation that all of the homes that would front this new storm sewer would be disconnected, their downspout disconnected from the combined sewer, connected to the storm sewer. So they still be all connected by pipes.
Yeah.
And that'll take a lot of pressure off
Yeah.
the combined sewers.
How do you do that?
And that's my question. Is it center? Is it, how do you do that? How do you connect to the separated?
You have to just run a pipe through the front yard.
Right, those center things that.
Depending on how the contract sets up, the village sets up, I've seen it done a lot before where with construction of the new municipal storm sewer, we would put a little pipe out to the property line with a clean out on it.
The village has a program, the village has got a program where the storm sewers are constructed, we put what's called a terrace drain. And those run up the street from every catch basin along the frontage of each property, and there's a stub
Stuff, that's
put out at each property so that the homeowner can connect, everything can be underground if they choose. So they've got a place to discharge that, the gutters and downspouts, and all that water comes off the roof and go into the storm sewer as opposed to the combined sewer. Take that pressure off the combined sewer.
It just takes skipping ahead a couple steps. All that additional engineering and construction makes stuff. That's not contemplated in the cost estimates.
The terrace drains are in the cost estimates,
Yeah,
yes,
okay, cool.
but not the private property work direct. Just to summarize. So, provide that basement backup protection, reduce street flooding. We've got, talked about some of those areas that may not be able to be solved. Overhead or sewers or hung plumbing in just those selected areas is a solution. Removing bottlenecks in combined sewer system. That's an important component, not only on Prospect and up further in the system, but on Edgewood. It's a critical component of the system.
which is not included in the process in Edgewood.
Right. The overflow storm sewer system on selected streets with discharge to the Milwaukee River. And again, that what happens right now with the best management practice we're recommending is that first flush and low flows continue to be treated by MMSD. That will keep you in compliance with your stormwater permit. I think at this point, I'm trying to remember to stop it and follow up on the MMSD.
So you can tell, if you can't, I'll point you to a number of PowerPoints, still on our website, and this will go on there too. That you'll see that Matt, Mark, and Joe described today, it can be traced directly to ideas that were developed by several consultants, and each step being a refinement, optimization, and this gives us confidence that we're on the right track. And so you can tell we're going towards a new iteration. But it's important to note that, what Matt said, that I think the layout as presented and the ideas as presented, pretty much define the extent of the work that's going to take. You're essentially looking at something like this. Not everywhere. If you look at 2011 PowerPoints, you'll see some graphics there. There are just pipes everywhere, right? And then as you would expect,